Welcome to Good Game, your no BS insights for crypto founders.
Consumer crypto is going to be driven by Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and short attention spans. User behavior is always online. They need dopamine hits. They need to make money, and they're likely not going to work any other job and do this full time, which is great for crypto because crypto needs full-time usage, like content creators. So content creation is one way. I think the other way is like making money off crypto apps.
Looking for your next startup idea in crypto? Check out our request for startups list and get inspired at alliance.xyz/ideas.
We just announced our second trailer of our documentary, Minimum Viable Product. And our first episode is going to go out next week. And I'm going to play a quick trailer. I want to hear your thoughts.
In my app, you can earn like infinite money. If you haven't got your shit together, get your shit together.
It's definitely competitive.
We didn't see the sunlight for like 5-6 days.
You just need to win one game. It's like VC.
User is rizzing now. He can send a rizz.
The idea is like to educate developers that crypto isn't just all about speculation.
Please do that. You don't want to fuck with SEC.
Partnership with Alliance is like a huge win.
The vast majority, except for one, you have a good idea. Every one of us thinks we're the one.
Do you have any good ideas?
Here's a light layer of crypto.
Tomorrow, we'll see who will remain.
I mean, we're only gonna win.
Yeah. I gotta go up and say this publicly.
You went to Bitcoin Nashville, right? How'd it go? Like, when was the last time you went to a Bitcoin conference?
The question should be, when was the last time I've been to any crypto conference?
Well, I mean, okay.
I don't even remember when it was the last time. It was like, was it ETH Berlin? Like
Bullshit.
2019?
You went to ETH Amsterdam, right? Or Amsterdam, remember? Last week or last year? Was it, or 2 years ago?
No, I didn't go to Amsterdam.
You didn't go to Amsterdam? I could have sworn you went.
Either way, I haven't been to like I go to crypto conferences. ETH Denver, but ETH Denver was like 3 years ago now, or 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Okay.
But I could have sworn you went to a conference recently, but okay.
No, I don't go to conferences. But the only reason why I went to Bitcoin Nashville is because it's like 4-hour drive for me, and I got everything for free.
Okay.
I thought it was a well-organized event. I mean, obviously they got Trump. We'll talk about it. The booths are basically half miners. By miners, I mean Bitcoin miners, not miner, not miner.
Yeah, when
miners.
you first said that, our entire team was a bit concerned.
Yeah. Bitcoin, half the booths were Bitcoin miners, and the other half were a mix of things, notably Bitcoin Layer 2s, Babylon, Lorenzo, which is like the EtherFi of Bitcoin. That makes sense. It's the layer on top of restaking. I didn't see that many apps. I think overall the ecosystem is still dominated by miners instead of app builders, which is unsurprising. But the vibes were good.
The vibes were good. Was it crypto natives, more open to the public?
Oh, it was very boomer.
Okay.
It's very institutional. There's none of the Ethereum or Solana people. It's a lot of Wall Street people, very boomer.
Such a different crowd. I mean,
it's a very different crowd.
Like ETH events or even Solana events, seems like they're all a bit different in terms of target audience.
I mean, the top speakers they put on the website were Trump, Michael Saylor, Cathie Wood,
yeah,
RFK, basically all the either politicians or Wall Street people. But yeah, the Trump speech was good. I thought Trump should be a comedian instead of a politician. I think he was very, at least the first 20 minutes was very funny.
I watched it live and it was very long and he started rambling.
Yeah.
But the first 20 minutes were very good.
The first 20 minutes, I thought it was pretty entertaining. And then halfway through, the crowd started walking out of the venue. And interestingly, the rumors were correct that Elon was coming. So there were rumors on Twitter that Elon's private jet was flying.
It was on Twitter too. People were watching that.
Yeah. He was actually supposed to come. And then Trump thought so as well. So remember the first 10 minutes, Trump was talking about EVs and electricity more than Bitcoin. Because he knew that he thought that Elon was coming. So he talked a lot more about Elon's industry than our industry. But then Elon just stood everyone up.
That's very unbrand.
And a friend of mine thought that Elon was coming and he leveraged on Dogecoin. And then got liquidated.
Did he get liquidated?
Got liquidated.
Oh, man. Is Trump speaking at BTC Nashville top signal? Why or why not?
I mean, it was definitely the local top because everyone knew he was coming in and long the shit out of Bitcoin. But I still think we'll end up higher at the end of the year than now, especially if Trump gets elected.
Got it. I don't think I've ever been to a Bitcoin event. It's always been Ethereum. Interesting. Okay, so I guess what I ended up doing over the week was I got invited to the closing ceremony for the ETH ETF launch. It was cool. It was hosted by Bitwise. They were the only company selected to do this, so they got selected over VanEck and others.
Okay.
The group of people that were there were very Ethereum, like within the Ethereum community. So I saw like Luca there from Pudgy. A lot of familiar faces. I think Nick Tamino from One Confirmation was there. Most of the people that were early Coinbase. So it was
Did someone ring the bell? You know the Nasdaq bell?
They did ring the bell. I believe it was the CTO of Bitwise.
Okay.
So I can kind of walk you through the ceremony and how it worked. But we walked in. We had like a quick 3 to 5 minute speech by the chief product officer from New York Stock Exchange. Then it was the CTO from Bitwise. Then we walked into the main pit for New York Stock Exchange. We walked close to there's like a podium on top. And so the entire Bitwise team walked in, and then there was a timer to the left. And as soon as it hit like 4:00, they started ringing the bell. It was pretty surreal for a bunch of degens. I mean, Santiago was there from Santos was there also. I was with him the entire time. And he's like, it's crazy that they let us degens into the pit and to actually witness something, as institutional as an ETH ETF launching on New York Stock Exchange. So it was a pretty surreal experience. And, like I was talking to Hunter, who's the founder, Hunter Horsey, the founder of Bitwise. And he was kind of telling his story about how he launched Bitwise. And I mean, you remember this, 2016, no one gave a shit about getting Ethereum or Bitcoin ETFs listed on the New York Stock Exchange, right? It was
except for the twins. I think they
were, but it seemed more like marketing, right? But yeah, you're right. But it got denied back then. But his idea and startup started around 2016. And going from there, chewing glass from all the ups and downs till now, it must have been a very surreal experience for him as a founder. Like, who would have thought within, 8 years, the entire world is going to be talking about Bitcoin and crypto. So he kind of told a story about like how he started from this very small room and then over time just kind of chew glassed and kind of grew from there. So it was pretty cool.
I was thinking, I think NYSE and Nasdaq are pretty boomer in a lot of people's mind, right? But the actuality is that their technology is really hardcore. And I know that from personal experience because I was one of those flash bots.
Yeah.
The flash bot, the flash boys.
You're the flash boys.
I was one of the flash boys. And their technology is really hardcore. So they're highly distributed. They're sharded. In what that means is, so like on the US stock exchanges, there's like 8,000 symbols or something like that, something to that order of magnitude. So they shard the matching engines across symbols. So there's like, for example, 10 stocks that trade on this machine. And there's 10 stocks that trade on another machine and so on and so forth. So it's actually sharded. And it's also distributed in a sense that, let's say there's a bunch of flash boys and retail traders sending orders to the matching engine. How do they make sure that the orders are received fairly, right? Because these orders come from all around the world. So they have multiple portals that sit next to the matching engine that receive these orders. And they try to do their best to make sure that these portals are equidistant to the matching engine itself. And so they have to do a lot of like really hardcore engineering on like these servers and also the connection between the servers to make sure that they're fair to every market participant. And they're like these portals are also engineered in FPGA. So it's not like just a piece of hardware. It's not just a piece of software running on CPUs because the CPUs just can process that amount of orders, that kind of throughput. Overall, like their matching engine, their exchange, there's a lot of specialized hardware rather than just CPU run software. So it's sharded, it's distributed, It's hardware, specialized hardware.
And you spoke of a term. I don't know if all of our audience knows this, but Flash Boys.
Yeah.
Do you want to describe what Flash Boys is?
I think that was a book written by Michael Lewis,
Yep.
which is extremely misinformed. I can pick out like a number of things where he was misinformed, but overall his idea was that the market is rigged because high frequency traders have an unfair advantage compared to the rest of the market participants because they're co-located with the exchanges, and therefore they can just pick out retail traders by being faster. Basically sandwiching, if that makes sense. Like if I use the word MEV or sandwiching, I think people will get it. Basically, the analogy is that Flash Boys are the MEV traders of the traditional market. Overall, at a very high level, the reason why that book was overhyped is that high frequency traders actually make very little money. The entire industry during the year that book was published made maybe $1 billion. The entire industry of high frequency traders. During that same year, the bonus pool of Goldman Sachs was bigger than that. So if you want to hate, you should hate the bulge brackets rather than the high frequency traders. Anyway, that's like many years ago.
It was more sensational. I felt like, and I think I remember when the book came out, and people. I think most of the people that didn't understand trading, it was their like first like insight, and they thought it kind of like confirmed their bias, right? I felt like that's kind of what ended up happening, which was misinformed.
Okay, so he also wrote a book on SBF before the collapse of FTX, right? And he painted SBF as this autistic genius, tech genius entrepreneur.
Man, these authors, I wonder how much he got paid to write this book. Oh my God. I was reading an interesting tweet, and it was actually an article, but I'll give you the headline. Millennials and Gen Zs have given up on finding fulfillment at work. It's interesting because...
I can see that in Gen Z. I don't see that with millennials. Or I see less of.
I think millennials are probably split 50-50. There's like boomer millennials, and then there's like the younger millennials. So you would fall into the boomer millennials.
You said exactly what I was going to say.
I know you're thinking that. That's why I said it first. Look, like I could tell you from my own experience, I hated every corporate job that was out there. Like I just hated it.
Yeah, sure.
Just as I'm sure you felt the same way.
I mean, that's why you self-selected into crypto.
Yes. But I do think that is like one like headwind that I don't think crypto has really realized, is that people like Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they see crypto as a way out of the system. And so like, to be quite frank, I'm seeing more and more people that are coming to crypto that are more Gen Alpha, Gen Z.
By the way, didn't Murad also tweet about that? Murad, the guy who turned from Bitcoin Maxi into a shitcoiner, meme coin Maxi.
I mean, I think shitcoin Maxi is an understatement.
He was like can't remember the exact thing he said, but basically the thesis, his thesis behind meme coins was the nihilism of Gen Z.
Yes,
the loss of hope.
Loss of hope. And in fact, like I look at a lot of tweets from Gen Z and Gen Alpha, and they're trashing on millennials.
I mean, every generation trashes each other.
They do. But, you know, there was an interesting tweet that I read from one of the Gen Z folks. I think it was Mitch. Mitch is becoming a very popular shitcoiner now. He's like a Gen Z guy. And he said something in the order of like, I wouldn't take any advice from anyone that's older than 23 years old at this point.
How old is he? 22?
Probably. Millennials spent their time traveling the world versus making money. Something in that order. And he went on to details of it. But it was interesting because I do remember when I was growing up, a lot of the millennial people would go out, like, we should enjoy life, go spend, go travel the world. Everyone used to tell me that.
Yeah.
And this generation is like, fuck that.
We just create TikTok videos. We'll just become TikTok creators.
We're just going to become TikTok creators, make content, make money. I don't know. But it was very interesting to read some of these kind of threads. And then I saw that tweet where it talked about how, millennials and Gen Zs have given up on finding fulfillment of work. And to me, it seems like where it's all trending is like content creation, probably, and or finding ways to work for yourself as an individual.
And find ways to make money without doing real work.
Exactly. And I saw another, I like that. I also
which is basically content creation and or TikTok creation and shitcoin trading. Both fall under that category.
Yeah. I was talking, and funny enough, I was talking to my nephew. He is 18 years old. He's pretty big on like Kai Cenat and all the streamers. And I asked him, I'm like, all right, he wants to become a professional basketball player. So he's like on the team, etc. I'm like, if you weren't playing basketball or if you weren't selected into the college, like whatever your college team that you want to, what would you do next? He said, I'd probably be a streamer. He's like, I would just get a bunch of my friends together and rent a house and just stream all day.
Yeah.
So
where are you going with this? Are you saying, I don't know, I'm speculating, that the future of crypto consumer products should be built by Gen Z, or where are you going with this?
Yes, that's exactly where I'm going with it. Okay. I think consumer products shouldn't be touched by millennials. I mean, I'm a millennial, so I can tell you this. Because millennials, they have kids now. They don't have time to enjoy life as the way you enjoy life, right? Like you enjoy life in other ways, right? Like spending time with the kids and your loved ones, and you don't really have time to spend with your friends and on your phone. But Gen Z and Gen Alpha do, and so I do think crypto. I think the future of crypto consumer is going to be primarily Gen Z, Gen Alpha. And I'm not saying and like Gen Z, like younger Gen Z, not the later Gen Z, because they're becoming boomers too. I saw a funny TikTok where a Gen Alpha met a Gen Z, and every time he said a word that Gen Z didn't recognize, he felt like he got shot. And so the third, like I think what he said, like skibbity or something. I don't even know what it means, but he ended up like he was like on the ground. Yeah, skibbity toilet. That's like a term by Gen Alpha.
What does that mean?
I have no idea, but it's a term. And it's like,
wait, what age is Gen Alpha?
15 and younger.
Okay.
So my niece is 15 and younger, and so she hangs out with my kids. So my kids came home one day and they're telling me shit like skibbity toilet and this and that. I'm like, what is this? So I looked it up, and apparently it's just it's a YouTube show.
Yeah.
And so that's where it was popularized. And then there was a meme coin called Skibbity Toilet that was launched, and now they're making a movie out of it that's coming out, and I don't know, next Michael Bay. So I was thinking the other day, there's like every social media, a social network is kind of, it's pretty generational, right? It's like they're generation specific. I think TikTok is mostly Gen Z. TikTok is mostly Gen Z. I think Instagram is millennial. That's Twitter right. is millennial. Twitter, Facebook, I feel like it could be both. I think Twitter's pretty open. The average, I think okay. Twitter's range is high. Like Twitter ranges from Gen Z to boomers, but I think the average is millennial. And then Facebook just feels really boomer now. I haven't logged on to Facebook in years. Instagram, same. Like everyone that I know that uses Facebook, they're like my parents' generation. It's so the question is, it's why Mark Zuckerberg is changing his persona. Yeah. He has to appeal to the new generation. So the question is, what social app does Gen Alpha use? Like what do your nephews use? They use TikTok. Oh, sorry. They use two products. They're very bullish on Snapchat. So all messages go through Snapchat. Mm-hmm. And TikTok for video and content. That's it. Those are the only two. And I asked, I'm like, do you guys use OpenAI? And I asked both of my nephews and nieces, and they said, no, we use Snapchat AI to do our homework and stuff like that. Snapchat AI? Yeah. Because Snapchat has an embedded AI product similar to like Meta AI. By the way, have we talked about this previously on our podcast? But there's a very scary trend since 2012. Okay. The rate of anxiety, depression, and suicide and ADHD for teenagers has gone up by 2 or 3-fold since 2012. So let me say that again. Teenage anxiety, depression, suicide, ADHD went up by 2 or 3-fold since 2012. I think this is true. Yeah. I mean, Even if you think about my attention span, I'm just going to dissect myself here. I can't watch anything for more than 5-10 minutes anymore. It's just very hard for me to do that. I lose interest right away. And so if I feel this way, imagine what they feel when they see anything over a minute. Like it's just too much. So anxiety is on the rise, short attention spans, a new generation of people that are entering into the world that are becoming older. What does this mean for crypto products?
I feel like crypto is just gonna exacerbate
Yes.
all of this.
It's going to make it worse, isn't it?
Like you can see the short attention span in the charts.
Yeah. You can see it in like, if you go on pump.fun, right? I mean,
Like all those inverse V's, they last like 5 minutes. Like that's how short the attention span is.
check this out. Look at this, like attention wise. Like this is where it's at, right? You know, from an attention perspective.
There's so much Gen Z-ness in this.
So depression. So you mentioned Qiao.
Yeah.
Depression was on the rise.
But do you see the inflection point? Like it was stable until
phones launched 2010 actually. Right? iPhone launched 2010, 2009.
Yeah, but some people got it, a few years before others. So if you take the average, it's like
So phones really mental illness among college students, ADHD, 72% increase since 2010.
That's crazy.
Insane. Depression, 100%, 106% increase. Anorexia, substance abuse, but anxiety and depression are the 2% of U.S. population. So it seems like 18 and 25 and 26 to 34. Interesting.
And it's worse for teenage girls than boys.
Definitely for girls. Look at this, 188% increase since 2010. Self-harm. Do you think this is because of the Instagram
It's
model?
Definitely Instagram.
Like everyone is trying to become an Instagram model, and then so I think if you look at Pump.Fun, I think it's the first Gen Z alpha crypto product, in my opinion. And now,
well, you sure Pump is Gen Z?
Yeah, Gen Z, Gen Alpha. I mean, the entire team is Gen Z. If that, I think they're even younger. Like they're like, I said Gen Z.
But the users, you think they're Gen Z?
So far, like I'm in the trenches, and they're all very young because they're all trying to make it. They're all trying to make it. Generational moonshot. That's right. I mean, if you look at like the founders of Moonshot, I won't go into details.
They're Gen Z too, right?
Borderline alpha. Like, I mean, these guys are
college dropouts.
Exactly. Like they're like 19 years old, right? I mean, so the Gen Zers are getting a bit older. So, these guys are on the younger side of the Gen Z. I feel like every generation has two sides, right? The older side and the younger side. Like the older millennials are more closer to like boomers, Gen X's and boomers, like you. It's a joke. And then the younger side of millennials could borderline Gen Z. So going back to consumer crypto, I think consumer crypto is going to be driven by Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and short attention spans. User behavior is always online. They need dopamine hits. They need to make money. And they're likely not going to work any other job and do this full time, which is great for crypto because crypto needs full-time usage, like content creators. So content creation is one way. I think the other way is like making money off crypto apps. And funny enough, Olaf said this before. I'll send it to you. Let me see if I can find it.
I was just thinking, this whole speculation versus real world use case debate in crypto, or this dichotomy. There's two crowds, right? There's the pro speculation, there's the anti speculation people. Yeah. I was always under the impression that the divide was between the left and the right. The left hates speculation, the right embraces it.
Okay.
But what you just said there makes me think that it's actually not the left versus the right divide. It's actually the young versus old divide. Because the older people just don't get why.
They won't get it.
Like, just don't get it. Just don't get why you want to be in the trenches and make money off of nothing. Just don't get it.
Don't get it. I think that crypto is actually a positive versus a negative. We talked about iPhone, social media, like worsening the situation of depression, etc. But what I've seen with crypto, being in the trenches, is that you actually connect with others and make friends. There's more of a feel of belonging in these communities. Here's a perfect example. There's the Milady groups, right? So now like anyone that's in the trenches, they adopt a Milady PFP.
Mm-hmm.
These are the younger generation, if you didn't notice.
Yeah, okay, let's rank the NFT collections by generation.
Yeah.
So Miladies is Gen Z, borderline Gen Alpha.
So Miladies is, I'd say that's right. There's Retardios, which is, well, like maybe we could talk a bit about this, but the Milady influence is the only influence that I've seen that has gone beyond the NFT collection. It has become almost a way of life. It's like rejecting the world that's around you.
Give an example.
The best example I can give you is Miladies to me and Retardios and all of this, they reject the way we live our lives now and the way we make money now. And so you see them in the trenches. You see them finding the ability to make money quickly. There's a lot of tweet threads I can share that I've seen over the past year, but a lot of it is just like rejecting the way we live life now. But this, people think is just an NFT collection. To me, I think it's a subculture that's growing.
Yeah. Because
everyone is forking the Miladies like PFP and is becoming even more degenerate. So you have Retardios, then you have Banco babies. I'm very deep into this subculture because I just find it very interesting how this is growing organically on its own.
Okay, I feel like Pudgy is millennial. Pudgy is older.
Pudgy is millennial and 6 years old. Yeah. So millennial is like, Pudgies are millennials, but they're going after a very different age group, which is 6 to 10 years old or something like that.
What about punks?
Boomer. Bored apes, cringe.
Well, it's cringe because the market is down 90%.
No, it's just cringe. I don't know. I just seeing their tweets and the people that they've attracted. It's like they don't understand crypto the way, like they're not crypto native. I'm not saying that they're all like that.
Oh, right. Yeah, they're not crypto native. They're normies.
They're normies, but like
that want to fit in.
The ones that don't fit in. Like they sit at the table, like if there was like a high school lunch room, right? They sit at a table where no one really like hangs out with.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Miladies, Retardios are the misfits. The one that wants a revolution, that want to change the world.
Yeah.
That's where I would put them.
Yeah.
The punks are like the guys on the pedestal that think they're too good for anyone else.
Yeah. Okay. Now I understand why I never got Miladies and punks, and I got Pudgies. It's a generational thing.
It is.
You want to talk about politics? Let's just talk and then just.
Yeah, let's just talk. Yeah, I don't care. Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. So politics. So we have Trump that went mega long Bitcoin, talking about a strategic stockpile, and I think everyone heard strategic reserve for some reason.
That was hilarious. I didn't hear the word. I didn't hear a single mention of the word reserve during that talk, and for some reason, everyone heard strategic reserve. But anyway,
but it's great. I'd love to mishear that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So you have Trump. That's pretty much he is telling us what we want to hear. Like he's like everything that I want to hear.
Oh, Trump is really good at telling people what they want to hear.
Yeah.
Because remember, he said, "I'm gonna fire Gensler," and he didn't expect the reaction that the crowd gave him. The crowd just went wild, and then he said that again and again. Like "I'm gonna fire Gensler" was the only thing he repeated more than once during that talk.
Yes, it's great. I mean, like it made me happy.
But I think regardless of who gets elected, Gensler is gone.
He's gone. He's public enemy number one. So Trump is telling us what we want to hear. It's not for certain if he's going to actually do what he says. In fact, I did a quick ChatGPT search and I asked the following. I said, of all the promises Trump made, how much of it did he fulfill during his last term? And it was 50-something%. And I compared to Obama and Biden, and they were in the 60s.
Okay. So he was below the average.
He was below the two. So expect him to fulfill 50% of the things that he says.
But like, even if you reason from first principles, it wouldn't surprise me that he would fulfill what he said on Bitcoin and crypto.
He will fulfill that, I think, because he's just
Yeah.
making a ton of money from that.
Uh,
It's not something that it's low hanging fruit. I don't think it's just a win-win for him. I don't see why he wouldn't do it, is the way I see it.
and in the meantime, we haven't seen anything that came out of Kamala Harris.
I think she's taking a very strategic approach. And the approach is, one, she went from zero to hero, and she's going to continue using like TikTok and other. She probably has an entire marketing team that is kind of like building her brand right now. And that's the process we're in right now, is the brand building phase. She's working on policies. She's trying to figure out what her messaging should be. And I think that's
we don't know what she stands for. Like,
yeah, we don't know what she stands for.
Like, I feel like she's still in the process of figuring it out.
Yeah. You put some tweets out about that. So maybe if you want to talk about, like, historically, Kamala Harris has been ultra left, right? So anti-crypto.
Okay, so let me just, there's some nuance.
Yeah.
So this data comes from GovTrack, which is an independent government transparency agency or organization. So they put out a study where they analyzed all the bills that were sponsored or co-sponsored by US senators for the last 10, 15 years. And they used a pure statistical analysis. It's called the principal component analysis. But the idea behind it is that it's purely statistical, purely objective. There's no subjectivity in it whatsoever. And they basically analyzed like these 100 US senators, and Kamala Harris was the single most leftist on that list. More so than Liz Warren, which is like number 26 out of 100. So I find it very unlikely that Kamala Harris will be fundamentally deeply supportive of crypto.
We'll have to see, because I think there was a recent article that came out, or news article that came out, that said that Kamala wants to reset her policies with crypto. Crypto is becoming largely political now. And I do think, and she also reached out, her camp also reached out to Mark Cuban, and Mark Cuban tweeted this out. He mentioned this early, like before all of this got kicked off. He said, whoever owns crypto will likely win the election. It's that big of an issue. And so I do think she would probably be more, if she was to come back with crypto policies, it'll probably be more neutral than positive. Like, let's say Trump is very like bullish. I'd say hers will be like some negative and neutral. Like, that's where she would probably stand.
Okay, just to play devil's advocate on the idea that if you win crypto, you win the election.
This is what Cuban said, by the way.
Yeah, I know. And it's also what a lot of crypto people think. But don't you think that most crypto holders are in deep blue states? New Yorkers and Californians, basically.
It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me.
So even if you win those people, you're not going to change the outcome of the election, because these two will vote for Democrats anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're making this more of a political issue than it is, and it may not sway votes. And you're saying the swing votes, right?
Yeah, the swing states.
Yeah.
What are the swing states? Michigan.
So Florida, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, North Carolina, Georgia, Ohio, Nevada, New Hampshire.
What are you looking at?
ChatGPT.
Okay. I want to look at the election odds where the states are close to 50-50.
Look it up.
Okay, so it's Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. That's it. Do you think there's a lot of crypto people in these states?
In which states? Can you repeat that again?
Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan.
The same swing states, right?
But like I'm looking at the election odds. I'm based my definition of swing states on the election odds. So basically, the states where the odds are close to 50-50.
Mm.
I feel like the crypto holders are in California, New York, Illinois, Washington. They're
that's
all
where
in
the population is, right?
Yeah, I feel like most crypto people are in the deep blue states.
Yeah, so there's a chance. I mean, she should. I mean, I'd say there is some chance. SEC moves to amend complaint against Binance, seeks to no longer prove tokens such as Solana are securities.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Solana ETF. It's a joke, but I know people are talking about this. But I was talking to Hunter the founder of Bitwise, about this with Santiago, and he said, even before we get a Solana ETF, we need to make sure that there's a very strong futures market around Solana first.
Yeah. Which there isn't.
There isn't. So we have to wait for a futures market first. Once there's a robust futures market, then I think you could build an ETF product around it. So we have time.
Coincidentally, I was having dinner with a guy who was friends with one of the 5 SEC commissioners. And the inside story is that the SEC has zero appetite for any ETF outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yeah.
They already made a lot of compromises to approve the ETH ETF, which they were very reluctant to do. So there's a lot of internal political and bureaucratic struggles and negotiations, tug of war. So they made a lot of compromises to approve the ETH ETF, and now they have zero appetite to approve any third ETF. And this is not exclusive to Solana, it's any ETF, any third ETF. So I don't think we see, so given these two things, given the lack of a futures market and this SEC's reluctance, I don't think we'll see the Solana ETF anytime soon. I don't think it'll happen in the next half a year.
I feel it'll happen within 2 years, though. Within 2 years, like there's a high likelihood. Not saying it's 100%, but higher chance. Do you want to share the dashboard, Alliance dashboard for the Buzzwords?
Let's do that. Okay, so the context is we receive 3,000 applications per year, startups, and we can analyze the buzzwords that startups use over the years and see potentially some interesting trends. So we analyzed various different categories of buzzwords: privacy, DeFi, scaling, consumer, and so on and so forth. So we have some pretty interesting data here. So I'm going to show them one at a time. Do you see my full screen, or do you see the x-axis?
I see just the graph.
You see just the graph. You don't see the x-axis.
No. Hold on. Let me. Okay, now I see it. You're zooming in a bit. There you go.
Do you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so the first one I'm showing is the rise and fall of privacy-related buzzwords. By the way, these y-axis are in log scale. So you should think in terms of order of magnitude rather than absolute value. So far, ZK is still king, which is unsurprising. MPC is not too far behind. And we did see a rise of FHE, which is fully homomorphic encryption, and TEE over the last year. So both have been rising over the last year, which is also actually pretty in line with what we see anecdotally. Still, both are still about an order of magnitude lower than ZK. So this is really interesting.
Yeah.
The rise of FHE TEE at the expense of ZK and MPC. Any reaction?
You know, we need to see more of these products out in the market. It's hard for me to gauge whether there's substance or not.
Okay. The second one I'm showing is UX related. So we have account abstraction, chain abstraction, bridge, and intent based. Also, unsurprisingly, chain abstraction has been gaining some traction. So basically, chain abstraction is the rebrand of
all of this.
Well, it's the rebrand of bridge specifically.
Bridge, yeah.
Account abstraction kind of topped. I mean, obviously, we don't have that long of a data set, but account abstraction has kind of topped half a year ago, and so did intent based, which is in line with what I observe anecdotally as well.
I mean, all I'm hearing about is chain abstraction now.
Yep.
That's a new narrative that everyone, and there's different ways that they're targeting it. But
okay, the next one, look at consumer.
Oh my God! Do you remember Metaverse?
That's what I'm showing here.
Oh my God!
So Metaverse basically peaked in H2 2022 and has been down only.
I'm surprised it's still not at zero.
So it's a zero interest rate phenomenon.
Yeah.
NFTs followed the similar path. It's not down as bad as Metaverse. And by contrast, SocialFi has been up only, memes up only, unsurprising.
Yeah. It's probably because
markets,
of the launch of Frontech. I wonder, it coincided with the launch of Frontech.
Yeah, so SocialFi, the SocialFi uptick was basically Frontech, and the meme coin. I mean, meme coin has been up only for 3 years now. It's not. It doesn't even coincide with the pump of the launch of pump. Prediction market is that's where I think the biggest narrative violation here is, because everyone's talking about prediction market on Twitter, but overall the trend is kind of flat over the last 3 years. Well, actually, I have another chart here that shows the X to earn. If you remember play to earn.
Yeah.
Play to earn basically follow the same path as metaverse and NFTs. Unsurprising. All right, let's go to DeFi. Any reaction here?
To me, it seems the same thing that we've been seeing over the past 5 years. I feel like, sorry, not 5 years, but the past like 3-4 years.
So there is less talks of MEV.
Yeah.
Over the last 1.5 years, which is in line with this data.
To me, like, I guess from this data, and then from the founders I've been talking to, I haven't seen anything that's really net new in the DeFi space. And all what I'm seeing right now is forks on other chains or a twist. So I think the data is in line with what I'm seeing and hearing.
By the way, this little uptick for Launchpad, the blue line at the end, that's definitely a pump.
Yeah.
All right. Scaling.
Oh my God.
Okay, so unsurprisingly, L2 has been up only for the last 3 years.
Yep.
L1 kind of topped 1.5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's been flat since then. L3 has been up only as well.
Share sequencing.
Sequencing, there's a little bit of hype a year ago, H1 2023. Data availability is down a little bit from half a year ago. Roll up as a service, not too much. App chain basically took off 1.5 years ago and has been flat. And then some roll up stuff.
L3.
L3s and L2s. We go up the layers. Oh, yield. This is still DeFi. Uptick in restaking over the last 3 years, unsurprising. RWA, overall the trend is up. RWA payment stablecoin. And that's it. Any reaction?
I think it's in line with what we're seeing overall. Like just from a product perspective, even my general excitement. I'm more excited about seeing stuff in the hands of people, seeing products in the hands of people. So more consumer related than infra related.
I mean, infra has been up only as well. The layer 2s and layer 3s.
Yeah. For me, my sentiment, I think aligns with what I'm saying, like what we're seeing in the data perspective. I'd like to see more consumer related products versus the infra stuff. DeFi, I think we're going through a maturing stage. So it's kind of been flat. No new innovations. People still trying to build for the space. But I think we're just going through a maturing phase of DeFi, becoming more of a robust industry. And you're seeing this with like the likes of Maker, Aave, as we mentioned in our past few podcasts, where they're now generating real revenue. And this is going to be one of those assets that, I think larger liquid managers will pick up. But I don't think there's going to be anything net new in DeFi. Oh, I haven't seen anything that's net new in DeFi yet. Layer 3 is up only. I've seen that. I'm obviously not very excited about layer 3s, but we're seeing a lot of layer 3 launches. I think B3 from the Coinbase team that spun out, building for layer 3 games. We have Zai and others that are building like roll-ups as a service for layer 3s, specifically gaming. I see the smile on your face, Qiao. Go on. Please tell me how you feel.
No comments.
Okay. Same. We should talk about Ethereum just generally versus Solana. I've felt this way for a very long time, but Kyle Samani put it perfectly. And I think you and I chatted about this before, but Ethereum is base.
Base the layer 2.
Yeah.
Well, it is not. It is not now, but I think it will be.
That's right. It's kind of, okay. So, and then I put another tweet out just for just to gauge public feedback, which is like consensus should have never spun out. They should have stayed within Ethereum, because I think Joe is an incredible growth engine. And as soon as he spun that out, obviously there was an alignment of growing Ethereum, which he did. But obviously the incentives change, and incentives change in such a way that you really just worry about, what you're doing, right, within your own company. Like he got embroiled in a lawsuit and all this stuff. It really kind of changes his focus from growing Ethereum to growing really consensus.
Mm-hmm.
And so I threw out a quick tweet and I said, I don't think Ethereum would be where it's at if consensus had not spun out.
That's 100% right.
And because there is no centralized force that's growing Ethereum from a BD growth perspective and listening to the customers.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of research teams. And so Anatoly replied to that tweet and he said, so I got some interesting insights. So I'm going to read through it and then I'd love to get your thoughts on it. Mert says consensus is the same thing as Solana Labs to Solana Foundation. They just didn't name it Ethereum Labs. I said, that's right. But since spinning out, incentives change over time and it wasn't just about growing Ethereum anymore. Now Anatoly said, maybe it's the opposite. Ethereum Foundation employs 300 people and they seem like the source of truth on the roadmap. As far as I know, Solana Foundation is 50 people, mostly focusing on the validators and is absolutely not the source of truth on mainnet direction, core, or app. So like a 6x difference in personnel, which allows fast running, commercially minded teams in Solana to set standards by just winning market share. Helios, Metaplex, Squads, Phantom, Dialect is what he said. So there's truth in that too, right? Which
Wait,
is
hold on. So Solana Foundation is the commercial BD go to market, and Solana Labs is the core roadmap, is the technology roadmap. Is that what he's saying?
so what he's saying is Solana Foundation is mostly focusing on validators and is absolutely not the source of truth on mainnet direction, core, or app. He says Ethereum Foundation has 300 people and they are mostly focused on the roadmap of Ethereum and research.
So what is he insinuating?
To me, what he's insinuating is, it wasn't very clear, but what he's insinuating is that all too many people on the Ethereum Foundation side, and they're only focused on research. Whereas the Solana Foundation team is smaller, and they're only focused on the validators, really focusing on that. And then,
regardless of how things are organized, I think historically Ethereum Foundation had zero focus on go-to-market.
That's right.
And they basically outsourced the go-to-market to number one, consensus, and number two, all the layer twos.
And ETH Global for developer mindshare.
For hackathons.
Yeah. Which I think was the wrong move because they should have left this in-house. And then over like a period of time, you could probably spin this out, right?
I mean, I don't think the Ethereum core team is commercially minded.
They're not.
To even be capable of owning the go-to-market in-house. So they were forced to focus on research in-house and outsource go-to-market to the third-party teams.
Well, Joe left to start Consensus to do exactly this.
Right.
And do you remember I remember when they spun this out and the idea was to build like a hub and spoke model. Do you remember that tweet like a long time ago?
Yeah.
And the idea was to grow a hub and spoke model. And it was to kind of grow the Ethereum ecosystem. Ajit, who used to work at Consensus, also mentioned that it was because of regulatory environments that they had to split the two. I don't know. That's what he mentioned. But I remember when Consensus first launched, I think everybody in the world wanted to work for Consensus.
Yes.
I applied there 10 times. I met Joe. I went to EdCon 2016 in Toronto or whatever it was. And he spoke. After he spoke, I stopped him. I said, can I work for you? I got his business card and I emailed him. Like that was the place to be. So imagine if that was in-house within the Ethereum Foundation.
Whatever Consensus did in the early days worked for Ethereum in terms of reeling in a critical mass of strong developers. But over the last few years, I think their relative impact has been diminishing. I don't really know what happened.
The lawsuit.
Okay.
There's a lot of things that happen. Like I think they grew too big. They have their own fundraisers. They are spinning out the companies, which they did successfully. They're embroiled in lawsuits with employees. There's a lot of things that happen internally. And I blame that on incentives are different now, right? When you spin out Consensus, of course, the overarching goal is, or the mandate is to grow the Ethereum ecosystem, but then you have to be selfish too, right?
Yeah, as a business, you have to survive. You have to make money.
Exactly. So I think that's where Ethereum personally went wrong. And now that's being delegated to layer twos. And so far, no layer twos have really taken the position on growing the Ethereum pie as a centralized force until Base launched. And so Base is now focused on higher throughput transactions, lower fees, direct on and off ramps to Base, right? They're building smart wallets. They're building all of this tools and infrastructure to make it easier for people to use Base.
But I don't think they're doing this for Ethereum. They're doing this from a selfish point of view.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying here is that because of that, they're becoming more Ethereum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Ethereum should be doing this, is what I'm saying. Like how Solana is doing it. Like Solana built a relationship with PayPal as an example, right? They're
Yeah,
doing
but like what you're saying, yeah, at some point the incentives will drift apart again, and Base will end up in the same situation as consensus.
How so?
I mean, your whole point about consensus is that the incentives drift apart, and consensus needs to care about their own incentives rather than Ethereum. So over time, the same thing is going to happen to Base.
What I'm arguing is that I don't think Base cares really about growing Ethereum. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
They just care about Base. And what I'm saying here is that Base is becoming Ethereum. What Ethereum should have been Base. I don't think Base really cares about growing the Ethereum ecosystem. If I'm being quite honest, Base is becoming Ethereum. Is the argument I'm making. And Kyle put this tweet out yesterday. I was going to tweet this out actually a week ago. Just got lazy, but he summed it perfectly.
What did he say?
I'll read it to you in a second. He said, "Future of Ethereum is Coinbase."
Future of Ethereum is Coinbase for the next 1 or 2 years, maybe. After that, the incentives will drift apart again.
It will, because I mean, I 100% agree with
like you. If Base becomes the layer 2 of Ethereum, then at some point they're just going to transition into a layer 1. There's no reason to leak the value back to the layer 1, back to a different.
They're getting paid by Optimism for 6 years or something.
So in 6 years,
in 6 years or whatever, I forgot what. Remember we talked about this. I forgot so there is a contract, right, that they have with Optimism. For some fixed period of time, I forgot the years, they will have to stay on the super chain thesis. But I 100% agree. Like they could become a layer 1. I think and so we'll have to see where this goes. But it's fun to insinuate, though.
You sound bearish Ethereum.
I'm bullish. I see them as more Cosmos now. I hate to say it.
I think that's not a compliment.
Well, I mean, like. I think they're more commercially minded than Cosmos,
but not enough. They're not commercially minded enough.
Not enough. So the two worlds, Cosmos is becoming Ethereum, and Solana is becoming more of a centralizing force, right? And so I won't name a name, but there's a very large fintech company I met with a week ago, very large, and he or she said that I've worked with both Ethereum Foundation and Solana Foundation, and shit just gets done with Solana Foundation. Ethereum Foundation moves too slow for what we wanted to get done. And so I don't want to go into any more detail, but it's...
Let me guess, it's Robinhood?
Can't name. I'll tell you later. I'll tell you after the call.
Okay.
And that that sums it up really well. You need a centralized report.
Maybe it's PayPal.
I can't name names.
But no, I agree with you. Like it's
Revolut, it could be anyone. So I'm not gonna
Even if you haven't never worked with Solana or Ethereum, closely as partners, you can tell from just as an outsider, you can tell how fast each move, right?
Exactly.
Like with Blinks, Blinks was not supposed to be an effort that was driven by Solana Foundation. Like it was supposed to be it was developed by what is it called again?
Dialect. Yeah.
Dialect, right? Yeah. So it's a third-party effort, but when they rolled it out, it was highly controlled and driven by and coordinated by the entire Solana community, which obviously was the result of the Solana core folks pushing it. This kind of stuff doesn't happen within Ethereum because Blinks is a user-facing thing. It's not at the protocol level. Within Ethereum, the only thing that gets pushed out is the protocol stuff. It's not the commercially minded. It's not the consumer-facing stuff.
Yeah.
So
this is probably the way I would explain Ethereum is it's the tragedy of old companies. They're too big.
I think it's the tragedy of going decentralized too soon.
Tragedy of going decentralized too soon and being bloated. 300 people all under research. To me, it just seems like it's bloated. Maybe I'm wrong here, but 300 people versus
you're not
50
wrong.
people.
I see exactly what you see.
Okay. Ethereum should be a developer platform to build commercially minded products, right? It's not about feelings. It's not about who you are as a person. Who gives a shit? It's about building great products that people love.
I mean, on the bright side, just again to play devil's advocate.
Yeah, please
I think
play devil's advocate.
there are signs of Vitalik coming back into a war mode.
Oh yeah, I tweeted this out. I said, I tweeted this out. I'm like, I think Vitalik war mode is back on also.
Because for the last 2 years, I felt like he was drifting into a philosopher
Longevity.
king kind of
Yeah.
persona. And I don't know, he just wanted to take his life to the next level or something. Like he was no longer really involved with driving Ethereum forward, aside from putting out a blog post every other month or something. But he was not hands-on.
And look, like all the things that I'm here saying about Ethereum, I love Ethereum. I'm bullish Ethereum a lot. I mean, it's 50%. I'm bullish that Vitalik could change. Like him going God mode or war mode, like an interesting sign. Him being aggressive on tweeting and like subtweeting people when they call him out. I like.
Oh, that was funny.
Now, the last criticism I have for Vitalik and Ethereum is become more commercially minded. Maybe you have a business, get rid of half your people on the Ethereum Foundation and replace that with BD people, commercially minded BD people, and make Ethereum more commercially minded would be my feedback. My last feedback for Ethereum. I think it's too late, but that would be my feedback.
Well, what I'm saying is the only way for Ethereum to win is Vitalik to turn his persona from this philosopher king into a benevolent dictator. Fire half the people, hire someone who's very commercially minded, because he's not, and he knows it. He's very far away from the trenches.
They should just acquire consensus and bring Joe back.
Joe back or something.
Bring Joe back. I'm a fan of Joe. Joe is a beast.
Ethereum would not have been where they are without Joe in 2017, 2018.
100%.
Without consensus.
100%. Without MetaMask, we wouldn't be where we are today.
We might be using embedded wallets instead of.
So you think it would be further along?
No, again, like a lot of history is path dependent. Like it's often like one or two people that change the entire course of history. Like if MetaMask didn't exist, maybe the UX would be
better.
Actually, a lot better today with embedded wallets.
You could be right. We don't know. Yeah, I need to go to the bathroom. Give me a second. You did it 2 times last time, Qiao. Anything else that you want to talk about, Qiao, or did we cover a lot of it? I mean, there's some other things that I have written down here. Is Hyperliquid Bearish ecosystem, Infinex token sale, Photon Pump, Moonshot, Bullex. So all of these are building around the Pump ecosystem. So there's like an ecosystem emerging on top of Pump. And they just hit $2.4 million in revenue past 24 hours. So they're the number one revenue generating product in crypto. California DMV digitizes 42 million IDs. Mark Cuban tweeted about this.
Avalanche.
What's that?
DMV is on Avalanche.
Is it on the Avalanche?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a big deal.
I would not be surprised.
I don't think they can hold tokens, but they probably got cash for it.
So apparently they tokenized the license plates in the form of NFTs on Avalanche as a subnet. So that's the Avalanche version of AppChain.
Say it again?
They tokenized the license plates in the form of NFTs on their own DMV branded Avalanche subnet, which is their AppChain, the DMV AppChain.
I have the article pulled up also. In collaboration with tech company Xerox Head and Avalanche, will allow more than 39 million residents to claim their vehicle titles through a mobile app. Digitizing car titles will reduce the need for in-person DMV visits and fight fraud. They can detect lien fraud by creating a transparent and unalterable record of property ownership. So the first step was creating 42 million titles associated as a token on the Avalanche blockchain. That's what the state of California DMV has already done. Now what they're doing is trying to create a wallet where you download on your phone. So they're going to get everyone to download a wallet to hold their title.
What's your reaction? I feel like Avalanche has been focusing on these boomer institutions.
Yeah, well, I think they were the first to focus on RWAs, if you remember.
Yes.
So they were ahead of the curve on that, but somehow
Sir Larry Fink picked Ethereum.
Yeah, Ethereum. And now they're going after real world use cases, becoming more like a software company, like, right?
What's that word again? Enterprise blockchain?
Enterprise sales? Enterprise
Enterprise blockchain.
Enterprise blockchain. There you go. Yeah, they're becoming more. I mean, look, I think you mentioned this. You tweeted this out, but you said something in the order of like, before I cared a lot about being crypto native and building a product for the crypto native. But
yeah.
now,
So before my default question was why crypto,
yeah.
and now my default question is why not crypto?
Exactly.
Because there are some niche use cases where you can use a blockchain as your database. So in this case, I think. Do you think putting license plates on the blockchain makes sense as NFTs?
It does.
Do you trade license plates?
No, it's not trading. It's just having a canonical record, right?
Right, but you would make more sense if there's some trading, some transfer.
So here's a perfect example, right? Like, okay, I'll give you an example of like property deeds. Having property deeds on a blockchain you could build an OpenSea, right? Where people can buy and sell property deeds, right? So like an MLS, but everyone gets access in MLS. You could either get funded crypto natively or you could do it a traditional mortgage route, but some sort of way where you could have a unifying system whereby you could build apps on top that could enable new functionality. I could see that. It's very boomer. I mean, this was one of the reasons why I got into crypto was for these boomer use cases, which never happened.
But it's happening now.
It's happening now.
Do you think Base will launch a token?
No. Sorry. When?
If.
They I think they've done more good by not launching a token. Then you get people pissed off at you. They either love you or hate you. And so like in a world full of like, okay, when Solana launched, it was a perfect timing, right? Now in the world of short attention, is it a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know.
I think Polymarket will launch a token?
Yes.
What date?
You had a date in mind, right?
November 5th. Yeah, Polymarket is the opposite of crypto native right now. Like you have to sign in with your Google. You can connect your MetaMask. I think US users are geofenced.
So to me, they're going after, and Kyle wrote a tweet about this too, which we can talk about.
Why does Kyle tweet so much?
He's back.
What did he say?
He said, the reason why prediction markets in its current form isn't interesting is because you need regular cadence of markets to predict on, and you need these bettors to bet in size, and there's upfront regulatory costs, and so getting short-term traders isn't it. You need long-term bettors, and they need to bet in size, and you need regularity so that they can consistently come back and bet at size. And because of that, DraftKings and FanDuel, right? They're the two.
Yep.
The reason why it's hard to compete with them is because they own a lot of the distribution and they spend a lot of money on CAC, or customer acquisition cost.
Mm-hmm.
So if Polymarket's going the way it's going, then it has to compete with those two. And
you said earlier that Polymarket might focus on sports.
Well, from the tweets that I'm seeing, people are insinuating. I think Mike from Blockworks said this, like, and to me, it makes a lot of sense. Is why not do sports?
Actually, it makes sports is the one that makes the least sense because you have a bunch of incumbents. I know them because I use them. I'm the user of those incumbent products. There's a bunch of incumbents that support sports. I don't know how you can do better than them.
By the way, I 100% agree with you. I don't want to give out the solution to this because we have some ideas as to how to attack this market. But yeah, I 100% agree with you. I don't think sports is you're going head on with the two of the biggest competitors in the world.
There's like at least 10 that are reputable and have decent liquidity. It's very fragmented, and they've been around for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Their monthly volume is 300 mil. So that's 10 mil a day. I mean, it's 2 orders of magnitude smaller than DEX's. 80 million in open interest.
Still a small market.
Yeah, it's a very small market.
Still a small market. So we'll have to see.
Given the size of the market on Polymarket, do you trust the polls more or do you trust prediction markets more, or Polymarket more specifically? Because in the polls, Kamala Harris is actually ahead of Trump. But if you look at the prediction markets, Trump is almost double.
I don't trust either. The truth is always in the middle somewhere. Because Polymarket, you put your money where your mouth is, but right now I think Polymarket is predicated primarily on crypto users. And if that's the case, then they're all bullish Trump.
Yeah.
Polls, I think, is largely driven by media, and media is
It's
primarily
controlled by the
left. And so I can't trust either.
What about PredicIt, which is a Web2 prediction market?
Where are they at?
Their odds for Trump are slightly lower. Oh, actually, oh, wow. Today, Trump and Kamala Harris are 50-50 on PredicIt. Wow.
So I think I feel like that's where we are. I think we're right in the middle. The role is split.
Okay, so damn, like I tweeted about this last week. I said the Polymarket odds for Trump was a lot higher than on PredicIt, and the gap is even bigger today. So Trump on Polymarket Trump to Harris on Polymarket is 6-4, and on PredicIt is 5-5.
You want me to give you a prediction?
Yeah,
I think we're gonna get. Do you remember when Trump first got elected? I remember exactly where I was.
Yeah,
and I was shocked.
Stunned.
Huh?
You were stunned.
I was stunned because I was so sure that Trump wasn't going to win, right? Just because it's so out of the ordinary, right, for someone like a character like Trump to actually win the elections. It could have been similar to like Reagan back in the day, when a movie actor, right, coming in. So similarly, like I think I was stunned, and so I do feel like we're gonna get stunned again. I could be wrong.
But I feel like he pushed the Overton window so wide that people are not underestimating him anymore.
They're not. I mean, obviously it just seems like the whole world thinks that the Trump's going to win. It's so consensus. So
that's the crypto cope. I think by the entire world you mean crypto industry.
Well, I mean, like even outside of crypto Twitter, I feel like there's been like everyone I speak to, they're like, oh yeah, Trump's going to win. I'm like, why? Like, oh, like they try to kill him, like, like, stuff like this. So maybe he'll win. I'm like, look, I'm actually 50-50, but I wouldn't be surprised if I was stunned. Or Kamala will give Trump a run for his money before he gets elected. Like it could be very competitive. Before I looked at Kamala, I was like, there's no chance. She's horrible. Now with the media, her persona and branding change, it seems like there's a chance now.
I still don't know what she stands for.
I don't either. And I think that's by design.
Yeah.
We'll find out eventually.
They're doing research. They're doing due diligence.
They're doing due diligence on Ryan Selkis.
I bet Selkis is gonna go for VP in 4 8 years.
Well, what do you think? So, what do you think Selkis will do right now? Like now that he isn't focusing on Masari, do you think he will try to find a role like within the Trump administration?
I haven't talked to him in the last month.
Okay,
but before I like every time I talked to him, it was about politics. He has been into politics for a while, and it's exactly in line with his Twitter persona.
I mean, like, even the past 10 years, like in crypto, he's been very staunch advocate. Like he used to criticize the government, and it just became stronger and stronger over time.
So I don't know what he wants to do, but I wouldn't be surprised he's going to run for VP in 4 years.
Well, we need somebody that's crypto aligned in the office. So cool.
Oh, by the way, very quickly, there's a. Let me show PredicIt very quick. Do you see anything fishy here? So okay, this one here, 2024 presidential election winner, Trump and Harris, 51-51.
Yes.
So that's basically 1-1. And then the one below, Harris, the 47th U.S. president, 53-47.
Do you think like she's using campaign money to just bet on herself?
I mean, these markets are not liquid, so
sure.
You know what
we need? We need a transparent way of prediction markets, because this could be gamed easily because they're so illiquid.
Okay, so I think what's happening here is that there's like 3% chance that Biden will not be the president before the end of his term, in one way or another. Either he dies, or whatever that. What's that amendment?
25th Amendment.
25th.
So we just announced our second trailer of our documentary, Minimum Viable Product. And our first episode is going to go out next week. And I'm going to play a quick trailer. I want to hear your thoughts, especially seeing yourself, right? So I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Infinite money. Infinite. In my app,
The first
You
thing I
can
heard was infinite money.
earn like infinite money.
If you haven't got your shit together, get your shit together.
It's definitely competitive.
We didn't see the sunlight for like 5-6 days.
You just need to win one game.
It's like VC.
User is raising now. He can send a raise.
The idea is like to educate developers that crypto isn't just all about speculation.
Please do that. You're gonna want to fuck with SEC.
Partnership with Alliance is like a huge win.
The vast majority, except for one, you have a good idea. Every one of those things were the one.
Do you have any good ideas?
Here's a light layer of crypto.
Tomorrow, we'll see who will remain.
I mean, we're only gonna win.
Yeah. I gotta go up and say this publicly.
It's funny.
It's funny. It's good.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. It's been a long time coming, but yeah, we'll launch next week. Would love to hear your thoughts. Outside of that, I think we'll catch you in 2 weeks.
Up only.
Up only. Let's go. As always, the views expressed in the Good Game podcast are personal to the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of any other person or entity. Nothing here should be construed or relied upon as investment, legal, tax, or other advice.
Thanks for listening to Good Game. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next week.